Chris, I appreciate you coming back.
Glad to be back.
Last time you were on, we got to talk a little bit about you, a little bit about your background. Obviously, for those that don't know, for the uninitiated, you're a up-and-coming fighter about to make his pro debut. You're primarily into the stand-up martial arts, so kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, and you are diagnosed with autism. However, that has not seemed to sway your movement in this sport. So before we get into all the nitty-gritty, I do want to ask, because your pro debut is coming up, how do you feel about this?
I feel great. I feel ready to go. Glad to finally make some money fighting instead of just going to a show, putting on a good show, and it be for free.
Yeah. Is that a factor in all of this? I mean, I want to be careful how I say it because I know it's your passion, but now you're talking about the finances of fighting. How does that work out for you?
It helps out because it's just extra income, really.
Yeah.
Doing something you love to do, not working and be like, oh, I don't like this job. Oh, I'm making money doing something I want to do instead of doing something I don't want to do for good money.
I know that you also do like the privates. Is that exclusively how you earn a living, or do you also have a job?
Oh, I have a job. I work at Michael's in the Pear.
Nice, got you. And that's a restaurant, right?
No, arts and crafts store.
Oh, my bad. Wait, Michael? Oh, going down towards like just past Brentwood?
Yeah.
Okay, I know of that place. All right. I used to have a crazy ex-girlfriend, and she would always like shop there. So bad vibes. Anyway, so you have the day job, and this is something that's kind of like reminiscent with most fighters. If you ask most fighters, they all have jobs to kind of supplement their finances in order to be able to pursue their dreams in fighting. But I've also seen sometimes guys get kind of lost in the sauce, and I'll explain what I mean by this. So let's say you work a 9 to 5, right? And then after you get off work, you go to the gym. You train from 6 to 9. That's basically your day. That's it. And then depending on how your weekends go, you get done with all your bullshit, right? I've seen some guys, though, where, one job doesn't become enough, and then they need to get a second job to kind of supplement their lifestyle. And then because they have to work to keep themselves afloat, they inadvertently cut out that time at the gym because they have to be spending it working to make money, to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage, to pay their whatever. And I find that the thing that has ended most professional fighters' careers, two things. Number one, getting a girl pregnant. Like, I've seen a lot of world beaters. They come back like, oh no, she's pregnant, and then we don't see them forever because it's like, well, I gotta go be a dad and all these other things. Shout out to the dads. And then the other one is kind of getting into this like scenario where, they're getting older, so their expenses are increasing, but their limited earning capacity because they are pursuing fighting. Not that I want to dig in too much to your finances, but is that something that you factor in when you're thinking about fighting to generate enough money to where you only need to fight? Or is it something where even if you weren't making that kind of money, you would still pursue it well into the later part of your pro career?
I'd still pursue it into my later pro career. The goal is to obviously just be fighting, training, all that stuff, and have that be my only income, but we'll see how far it could go, really.
And then the argument could be made that, like, I hate to say it this way, but for like doing personals and stuff like that, the privates, your resume is your professional career. Does that make sense? Like, it's not, you can't be like, oh, I did cardio kickboxing classes for 5 years, right? It's like, no, I was a fighter and this is my record and I fucked people up. Do you think that will be something that will kind of transcend? So like the more you fight professionally, the more you win, the more you compete, the more of a resume you build, then the more clients you may inadvertently get because of your record, because of your acumen. Does that ever weigh on you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know the more pro wins you get, people be like, oh, he's a pro fighter. I want to learn from this guy instead of somebody that's never fought or somebody that doesn't have the experience.
And is that what you want to be doing? Like, let's say, you're 5-0 as a pro, and then there's enough volume, there's enough demand for your privates, for your pause. There's enough demand for private sessions with you. I had to take a step back. Would you want to leave Michael's and just like basically fully pursue the life in the gym?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the goal. Just have privates, train people, fight.
No worries about burnout?
No, there's no burnout with me.
No. How's it going with the church and Jimmy Crozen? Jimmy Crozen. With James Crozen and everything.
It's going good, actually. In the next few months, we might be moving.
Oh, out of the location?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. So still one location, but different.
I don't think so.
Oh, he's gonna get a second location.
No, he's just gonna move to.
Got you. So still one location, but he's gonna move.
It's a bigger building.
Nice, good for him.
And it'll be the same rent. So.
Is it still in the city? Do you know anything about like where it's gonna be?
Where Breath and Exposure's at, it's like a. So I don't know exactly where it's at, but I know it's in the city.
Within driving distance of, actually, it would be within driving distance of the current gym because it's still in the city. That's interesting, man. That's good for him too. Bigger space, same rent. I didn't know that. Well, Jamie, congratulations.
Yeah.
You got dropped here. What is going to be your role in that? Because I know that you guys have a pretty strong relationship. Are you going to be
teaching classes? Probably teaching more classes. Probably just helping him out with fighters. Same stuff, but bigger environment. Probably get more people since it's a gym already, and there's a spot that Jamie's going to have his spot at another gym. So.
Gotcha. How does that work for you? What are you more interested in, coaching or fighting?
Both. I like both.
It wasn't my question.
I would say fighting right now fighting, and then later obviously be coaching once I'm too old to fight. You know.
How old is too old?
I would say like 40s.
No shit.
I would say 40.
That's like
late
that's
30s.
a good amount of time, man.
Yep.
So you're gonna be doing the damn thing for another 18 years?
I'll try.
Yeah.
If my body lets me.
Yeah. Well, God bless. I was having a conversation with Elmar, and him and I were both fighters, and we both retired. I believe he's 2.5 or 3 years younger than me, so he's 30 and I'm 33. And I'll say this, I hope to God that you could do it until 40, because one of the things that I'll tell you, and I'm sure any older guy would tell you, is when I was like 21, 22, I mean, we could just train as much as we wanted. We were covered well. It didn't really matter too much, like how many miles we were putting on the body. But when I hit about like 28, 29, it wasn't that it was like, insurmountable or anything like that, but it was just different. I was sore longer. I could not train as hard as long and then recover as fast. So I had to start getting a lot more methodical about when I was training, how I was training, when I would eat, what I would eat. All these things started to matter more and more as I got a little older. How much of a factor is like your diet when you train, your training regimen? Like how much of that do you put into perspective with Jamie? Or is it something where you're just kind of like, well, this is how I've done it, this is how I'm going to do it, in terms of when you train, how you train, things of that nature?
Oh, I'm down to change whatever that will benefit me as a fighter. There's no, I've been competing a while. There's no, my way's the best. Nah, if you know something or have more experience coaching or etc., help me. I want to grow.
Jamie is not your exclusive coach, correct?
Right now he is.
Right now he is, but he wasn't beforehand.
Yes.
Who were some of the coaches that you had beforehand, just to kind of help me shape how we got here today? So like before Jamie, where did you train?
Before Jamie, like I trained for boxing, I've trained at City Rex just all over. In boxing, like the coaches sometimes aren't the most reliable.
In terms of what, being there consistently?
Yeah, being there consistently. Like they'll say they'll be there. You look at your phone, you're at the gym.
Yo, where you at?
Yeah.
Oh, that was today? That's awkward.
Yeah. Because it's free, because most of the time it's at a city, like you can't charge. Because in St. Louis boxing, most of the better boxers are like the free recreational centers, like Gamble, Cherokee, 12th Park. That's where like you get your better sparring and see like the inner city kids that are really good boxers.
I didn't know that you couldn't, like there were, first of all, I'm a little ignorant to the boxing community. The only boxing I ever did was as an amateur, just to get my hands right for MMA. I wasn't aware that there were these rec centers that were free and that people couldn't charge. That apparently these gyms are legit.
Oh yeah, they're legit, good trainers. But sometimes nowadays the coach is too like old. Like usually the guy that's ahead of it just sitting on his phone, he'll hold miss, but you could just tell age. Age is a factor in that.
So they don't have the same passion, you think?
Yeah,
just
passion
or
you
doing it.
Yeah, passion and youthful energy to do it.
So then, you no longer go to these gyms? Like you just train exclusively at the church?
I'll go to those just for like sparring for boxing.
Just rounds, yeah.
Yeah, not like training. Jamie's my only coach I'm dealing with at the moment.
Do any of the guys that you train with at these rec centers ever do cross training at the church?
Sometimes, but not really.
That was always something that was kind of annoying to me. When we were in MMA, and we did like Golden Gloves and stuff like that at St. Charles MMA. Like we would have some of the MMA guys, like Kirk Huff and everybody, would transition to boxing. It always astounded me how it was like second nature for the MMA guys to go in to the boxing gyms and train with the guys and, make the drive and all that stuff. But it was never reciprocated. Like none of the boxing guys would ever come to our gym for our spars or anything like that. Even if, like, we had guys at St. Charles MMA, I use this as an example because that was the first time I was like inundated with the boxing world, where like they were boxers, right? So like we would have MMA sparring, but if he had boxing gloves, you'd throw your boxing gloves on real quick, and then you had boxing rounds. And then if you wanted to do kickboxing rounds with someone else, you got kickboxing rounds. If someone else had like the 6-ounce puffy gloves, you did like grappling rounds, MMA rounds, you know what I mean? It was just like universally, like people would get work with everybody else. But anytime I invited boxers, like I remember there was a boxing gym down close by Lafayette Square, and we invited the guys out. Like we went out there, got some great rounds. We invited the guys out to our gym. No one ever showed up ever, even though we tried to roll out the welcome mat. And the reason we were trying to do that was because we wanted like a very robust, very well-rounded gym. We had jiu-jitsu black belts, we had MMA fighters, we had world-class Muay Thai guys. But we also just wanted like that corner of boxers, you know what I mean? But we never were able to kind of get that up. Do you invite the guys that you do cross-training with over to the church?
Sometimes, but most of them don't show up. I just feel like most people are just uncomfortable leaving their gym, or the reliability isn't there as far as boxing compared to like kickboxing, MMA.
What do you think about the comfort? Like, can you elaborate what you mean by like the comfort? Like they just get, it's weird to me that someone would get comfortable at one place exclusively if what they're training is a martial art. Does that make sense? Like, wouldn't you want to like go everywhere and learn from everyone and then kind of pick and choose what works for you?
Yeah, you would want to ideally do that for sure. That would be my goal, and that should be everybody else's goal. But with boxers, most of their gyms are free, so they wouldn't go to like a gym that charges be like, oh, $100 a month. Oh, I'm used to free training. I'm just gonna go there.
I would make the argument though that like you were saying that yeah, it's free, but then you got the head coaches or the old heads that are like not necessarily invested like they used to be. So maybe there's like a reason why a gym should maybe charge a little bit of money.
Yeah, you should. You should charge money if you're a gym that's privately owned, but that's city funded, so that's why they can't really charge. Now the coach is making money for sure. Yeah, you're there. It's a job, but nah, people just are too comfortable training the same way they have been. Don't want to grow. That's what you see a lot of talented pro boxers doing the same thing, time again. Most of them train themselves in St. Louis.
Really?
Yes.
Professional boxers?
Yes.
With no head coaches?
Yes.
How?
I don't know.
So like what happens so what do they do then? Do they just like spar and like
they just spar, hit the bag, shadow box. To me it just sounds like they don't want someone to push them, but
or critique them. Hey,
yeah.
You're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
But that's also counterintuitive if you're trying to be the best. Like you have to put yourself into uncomfortable positions. That's how you learn.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the only way to grow is be uncomfortable.
Do you talk to these guys when you go down there? Like, hey, what are you guys doing?
I try, but it's not. They're just stuck in their ways. Been doing it a long time. A lot of them, in my opinion, think, oh, their skills are gonna take them far. But you need a coach. There's people I've seen fight that should have won fights that lost. I'm like, okay, you're better than this person, but the other person had an elite level coach. The person you had cornered you wasn't at the top.
Could have been a brother or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or a girlfriend. That's always the telltale. We used to say in MMA, if like the guy's got his girlfriend or like a parent in the corner, unless the parent was like a former fighter, that's like different. Like if your parent is also like your coach, different story. But if it's like I don't have a coach, like my girlfriend and my dad is in my corner, I'm like, oh man, come on guys, like at least have one coach in the corner. It is what it is. I get it. Like to a means, to an ends. But that astounds me because I don't see that a whole lot in MMA.
No, you'll never see that in MMA, in my opinion. MMA is structured. That's the difference between a structurized gym and a non-structurized gym.
Did you see that Dana White and Zuffa Boxing are now getting into boxing?
Yeah,
What do you think about that? Out of
I
curiosity.
think it's cool because it's more avenues for boxers. Like, say you don't make it at like the WBC, IBF. Oh, you're good enough, and then Zuffa signs you. Okay, you're making money. You become a champion.
So maybe this is going to show my ignorance in boxing a little bit, but like I never understood the difference between like a WBC, an IBF. Like I always just thought these were like different. In MMA, the UFC is the Premier League, right? Everything else other than the UFC would be considered, and no one would argue with me on this one, be the second tier, right?
Yeah.
But in boxing, I never felt like that about the IBF, about the WBC, like about all of these promotions. Like I just thought like, okay, that is their belt, and that's their champion, and their champions face each other all the time. You know what I mean? Would you say that Zuffa, because it hasn't had any sort of shows, or I guess they just had their first one, do you think that they are like a B tier to the WBC and the IBF?
Most people, well, I don't really think so. It's just a belt with another name on it.
Exactly. That's how I view it as well in boxing. I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's how I view boxing as well. Like, you got a lot of people not fighting the best fighters no more, and then they expect to get millions of dollars. I don't understand that either.
I know, but that's just a spectacle. It sucks to admit. Jake Paul is right. I mean, look at what he like. Look, the gates that he can produce. They kind of. We have to, as fighters, remind ourselves that at the end of the day, like, yeah, this is a sport, this is fighting and everything, but it's also entertainment. And when the WWE out earns the UFC, that says a lot. So, like, fake wrestling does more money than real fighting.
Yeah,
That's hard to admit, but it's the truth.
It's been out a lot longer as well.
I mean, yeah, but you're right. Yeah, I mean, the WWE is like older. I agree with you there, but I guess my 2 cents on that though is just like, if we're arguing about like what should make, like, what is the most premier, what should make the most money, it's unfortunately it's not the best fighters. Being the best fighter does not necessarily correlate to making the most money.
100%.
And I saw that Zuffa Boxing just got like some one guy on contract outside of Eddie Hearn. Forgive me, I don't know the boxer's name, but they're paying him like $15 million for one fight, and like a bunch of UFC fighters are like, "Yo, what the hell?" Like Sean O'Malley was talking about like, "How are you gonna pay this guy $15 million?" Israel Adesanya was saying stuff like, even Tom Aspinall now, the UFC heavyweight champion. I don't know if you saw this, but he just signed with Eddie Hearn for like his management. And Eddie Hearn was taking a look at the UFC contracts and goes, "What the hell is this thing?" I know this is kind of like out of your, like, not necessarily in your purview because you're not really an MMA guy. But I'm sure at Jamie's gym, you're surrounded by guys who do also MMA, right?
For sure.
Do you guys ever have conversations about like the more lucrative path? Like, should you do MMA to make money? Should you do boxing to make money?
Oh yeah, we've had plenty of conversations. Oh, this sport makes more money. This sport doesn't, etc. But I would say you do the sport you want to do, not if you're doing it for money, you're still just money. You're doing it for all the wrong.
Yeah, but I would make the argument that like it's not necessarily about like getting someone to leave MMA to do boxing. It's more about like when someone's younger, right? Like you get the kids that come in. Like I'll be the first person to say that. Like I don't know if I had a son, I don't know if I'd want him to go into MMA. Boxing is just more lucrative. If you can be the top tier boxer, you're gonna out earn the top tier MMA guy, like 5-1. It's not even close. Now you could make an argument about like the averages, like if you're an average UFC fighter, but to be an average UFC fighter, you're still top 1% of a 1%. So I don't know. It's not about changing. Like it's not about like telling the MMA guys to switch to boxing. It's more about like if I'm at a gym and like some 11-year-old kid is coming up and he's got good hands and maybe he wrestles in middle school or whatever, what are you going to tell him to gravitate towards? You know what I mean?
Money wise and career say you'll tell him boxing, but if he loves MMA, you could say just try both and see which one takes you.
Yeah,
'cause you've been doing both since you were a young age.
It's a tough question to ask because when you're an amateur, the sport is kind of more pure in the sense of like you can just do whatever you want to do. But then once you go pro, and you'll feel this, there's like an extra layer to that conversation. It's not just who's the opponent, what's the weight class, what's the rule set. Now it's like, what's the money? Oh, are you going to pay me to travel? Like, am I going to fly or do I have to drive? What hotel are you going to keep me in? You know what I mean? Show and win money, or is it just a flat fee? That's just an extra layer of because I remember when I was an amateur, we would have fights, right? Obviously. And I felt like a lot of times it was easier to make fights as an amateur than it was as a pro. Or at the very least, professionals have more outs. Like if someone doesn't want to fight you and the date makes sense, the venue makes sense, everything makes sense, they can always say like, well, I'll fight him, but not for that money. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I need more money to fight Arion, or I need more money to fight this guy. It's just kind of like this extra layer of, I don't know, the mechanisms of fighting can get a little bit tiresome. I remember near the end of my pro career, that was something that was like getting a little bit difficult because, and I hope to God that you're going to experience this. Like, let's say you get to like 10-0, 11-0 in boxing, right? Then people don't want to fly out to fight Chris unless it's for a stupid amount of money, and no promotion's going to want to pay that. So like you're in this like weird moment where it's like, okay, I either need to make the jump to the next level like sooner rather than later because the finances now don't make sense for me to fight at a local level, or I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Have you and Jamie talked about like, 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals with this sport as a pro now?
Not at the we haven't yet, but we'll probably
Just debut, get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And when is the debut?
April 3rd.
For what promotion?
Red Owl Boxing. It'll be live on DAZN.
Oh wow, that's big. Yeah. On the undercard, I'm guessing, like one of the first couple fights.
I think will be the first fight.
Nice. Where is that? Like, where would that be?
Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Wow, so you're traveling for that one.
Yeah, they're paying for everything: hotel, flight, medical.
Did Jamie handle the negotiation? Because like, do you have management? Did you manage all of that?
No. There's one guy. His name is Brian. He gets a lot of the pro fighters out of town fights. That's who I talk to. At
the gym, like who's Brian? Sorry, like does he train at?
No. He's like at like the city recreational centers. That's how I met him when I.
Oh, so he was the one that has the connections, and he.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so like, okay, I guess going down there does help you.
It does in the sense of he's a lawyer, so he made sure the contract was right.
Oh, he provided a lot of service to you then as well.
Yeah. He gets a lot of the pros fights. I was told by a coach that passed away, Ray Oliver. He was good. He said, when you go pro, Brian's going to be the one getting your fights. I'm like, okay. He told me that when I first started going to the recs, like in 2020, 23.
What do you think about the opponent that you got in front of you?
I said he's probably my most experienced fighter. I'm the big underdog, but it's okay. He's experienced, a little taller than me, but I feel like I got a style that he hasn't. In the fights I've watched, they all accept the height difference. I've never seen a fighter like come at him and make him like have to fight. And the only guy I did see that he got tired real quick.
So when you say they accepted the height difference, you mean they fought at range?
At his range, like out the outside of his jab.
Yeah. So like he was basically able to set the pace of the fight.
Yeah.
And then fight comfortably. And at the one fight that you saw where someone necessarily was kind of taking the fight to him, when he was fighting on the back leg, he would get a little bit more tired.
Yeah. He's a counter puncher. He likes, but he doesn't have, for his experience, he doesn't have the best feet. Like he gets like one fight I seen, the other guy made him circle, hit him with a hook, dropped him. The guy ended up losing the fight. I'm like, I don't know how I thought the guy won, but
that's the other thing I was gonna say is this is the terrible thing about fighting is that there is like an A and a B side, and I want to be careful how I say this because I'm not trying to sound pessimistic at all, but there's a connotation where if a fighter has to travel, they're bringing him in to lose, right? So like this guy, is he from Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
So he's the hometown guy. Yeah. He's probably the ticket seller. Does that weigh on you in any capacity? The fact that like, you're gonna have to do a little bit extra if you're gonna want to walk away with this.
Oh yeah, I know I got to do extra, but it's still a good opportunity. Say I give him a good fight. Say I don't get the decision, or I give him a good fight. The opponent's like, oh, I like the way you fight. Hey, I might sign you now.
Gotcha. So to you, this is just all like
opportunity. Yeah.
What's the conversations you're having with Jamie regarding pro versus amateur? Are you approaching this any different?
Training a little, not really different, just more smarter with it. Training when I was an amateur, it would be just hard all the time. As a pro, I'm still training hard, but I'm doing less. I'm still doing intense, but not as before. I would do intensity like 4 or 5 days a week. I was so sore, but now I balance it out where it's like okay.
Your training, does it only consist of boxing, like mitts, bag, footwork, things like that, or do you also take into consideration weightlifting, plyometrics?
I do a lot of plyo stuff like that. I like that kind of stuff. Boxing. I still train kickboxing, even though I got a boxing fight because I always want to stay sharp in both of
Both.
those.
Is there an avenue that you would prefer to take, or does it matter to you?
It doesn't matter, whichever one.
Okay. Well, dude, good luck. I mean, I didn't know you were traveling to Pennsylvania for it, but it'll also open your eyes too to like what it's like fighting in an environment that you're not used to, right? In a crowd that might be full of people you don't know. I don't know if that's going to be liberating or perhaps a hurdle. I found that whenever I had to travel for fighting, I actually liked it more because then no one I knew was in the crowd. Like, so fuck it. I was like, whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? And whenever I wasn't so worried about how the crowd would perceive me, it was kind of like liberating. But I've also heard fighters say that like they don't like going into a hostile crowd. They feel like, you know what I mean? Like I said earlier, that they're bringing them in to lose, so then they feel like the crowd's against them, and that weighed on them. So I'm interested to talk to you after the fact of how that like weighed on you, or if it even did, if it was even a factor. Outside of fighting, dude, I don't know anything about you. Like I know that there are hurdles that you've overcome with your autism in order to live the life that you have, and I know where you work now, and I know obviously that you love fighting, but I don't know anything about you regarding personal interests, aspects of your life outside of fighting. So I'm just gonna ask a broad question, and that is, when Chris isn't training or at work, what is Chris doing?
I'm usually just like chilling, watching stuff, like studying film or
On fighting?
yeah, on fighting. It's just pretty much my life. I like doing other stuff. I got to find more hobbies eventually outside of just training.
Or not. Or not. I mean, if this is what you love to do and this is like what you're obsessed with, maybe that's it. You know what I mean? I'm asking more of just like genuine curiosity. But if you're telling me that on your free time you're studying tape and watching, I'm guessing you're watching a lot of tape on your next opponent
Oh
and
yeah,
things
for
like
sure.
that.
I've been watching. You know, we were supposed to fight in February, but I don't know why the card got pushed back to. We were supposed to fight February 20th, but the card got pushed back to April 3rd.
Same promotion, same everything.
Yeah, same everything. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe he saw your fights and wasn't ready.
Maybe he got more experience, but we'll see. We'll see.
Do you talk to any of your previous opponents about cross training, like Crump or Ty Prackett or any of these guys? Out of curiosity,
No, I haven't. I haven't yet. I might, but
just because if you're gonna do traveling, and that's gonna be like predominantly how you get the majority of your fights, the people around you and the area around you stop being possible competition, and they start looking more like possible training partners. So I just didn't know if you guys were having those conversations as well.
not yet. Probably in the near future.
Yeah. And outside of the rec centers that you train at and Jamie's, there are no other gyms. Like you don't train at like St. Charles MMA or anywhere like that.
No, no.
Gotcha. No, I was just curious. One of the other aspects that you kind of brought up a little bit was your faith in that first conversation. It's something that I'd want to kind of delve into a little bit more. First, what is your faith? Because I know that Christianity has like denominations and all these other things, but like, what are you? Because like, for instance, me, I grew up Greek Orthodox.
Same.
Same?
Same.
No shit. Okay. Where do you go to church?
Well, I haven't been there at Assumption Greek.
Assumption Greek Orthodox? That's funny. We went to the same church. I went through, when my mom passed, though, I went through like a 10 or 11 year hiatus where there was a good portion of my life where I was like angry at God. You know what I mean? But when I was younger, we went to Greek Assumption Orthodox Church right off of 270, right by West County Mall. And Father Joseph and the community there were like amazing. And when I was younger, we would go to church, and I didn't really understand religion, if that made sense. Like I understood as a young kid that we were going to church and that church was something we did, right? And then like we'd go to Sunday school and I'd learn about Jesus and I'm like, okay, this is cool, you know what I mean? But it wasn't until my daughter was born that I started to look at religion in a completely different light, because I was no longer worried about like my salvation. I was worried for my daughter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
What is your relationship with God and your relationship with Christianity?
My relationship with God is good. It's tight. I always ask God, hey, what should I do? Or I just put it in God's hands before I make like a decision or like see a sign that, okay, I'm not going to do this or I am going to pursue this or I'm not going to be friends with, say, somebody or I'm going to be friends with somebody.
Is prayer important to you?
Yeah, I think prayer is really important. I feel like it calms you down too. Like if I'm ever like too anxious or something, I just pray it and like 5 minutes later, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a like grace.
Grace, yeah.
I prayed before every fight.
I do the same.
Yeah, but I'd always pray for. I never prayed to like win or anything. I just prayed. I hope both of us get to walk out of that cage without any help. You know what I mean?
Same here.
However it happens, let it happen. But let us both be able to walk out. It was also interesting too to see like my cornermen and my fighting is beautiful in the preparation, and few people will understand what I'm saying other than other fighters. Your corner might consist of like people from like different denominations, like they might be Muslim, they might be Jewish, whatever they are, they might be agnostic, whatever. But it's funny how like in that preparation, that quiet before the storm, like you might be in the back, and you know, near the end of my career, I was always like the main event. So like at the start of the card, it's like full of guys warming up and stuff like that. And then as the night progresses, there's less and less and less people until it's just you and your team. And whenever we would have our little, I would always invite my cornerman. I was like, hey, I'm going to do a prayer. If you guys want to join me, you feel free, but don't feel obligated. It was funny. No one has ever said no. No one has ever said no. Even the Muslim cornermen that I've had, Jewish cornermen, whatever, they're always like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I know that there are different, like, I want to be careful how I say this because religion is a touchy subject. I feel like when we're in moments of there's about to be an extreme test or there's a certain level of danger, I don't think anyone cares like who you're praying to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like let's say
agree.
let's say you had to go for a surgery and the doctor is Muslim and he's like, hey, do you mind if I say a prayer for us before we start this? Are you going to be like, only if you pray to Jesus?
No.
I'd be like, dude, whoever, I hope whoever you pray to helps you. You know what I mean? Like, because you're about to do this to me. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting how there are like separations. But I find that in moments of like extreme stress, people seem to be a little bit more inclusive versus exclusive. And I actually think that inadvertently that also is a grace from God. I'm going to go a little deep here. Forgive me. I think that if an entity exists, such as God, then we're all praying to the same thing. We might have certain aspects of this wrong, or we might perceive certain things because we are flawed creatures. But I think in the end, we kind of know. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it does. Like there's one entity, like there's different variations of God, but in like extreme chaos, like you said, or going to a fight or war, you're gonna pray to the same God. You're all gonna get together in prayer, as it should be, instead of all these
differences. Exactly. And I want to be careful because I know that like, you know, Christians will tell me like, no, that's not how it works, and Jews will definitely tell me that, but I never cared. Like when it got to those moments, I was like, hey, come on in, boys, if you guys want. If you don't, you know, for whatever reason. But I've never had anybody tell me no. And I found that I'm also not the best about like going to a physical place, and that's going to drive a lot of people crazy. But I never felt like I had to fit the norm of like how they practice their religion to be close to God. It's the same way I feel about my mom. Like some of my family members ask me like, oh, did you go see the grave? I'm like, no. Like, oh, why not? Like, don't you want to pay your respects? I'm like, I think about my mom every day. I see my mom and my daughter. I thank my mom for certain, like, there'll be things that happen in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Mom, for doing that. Like, I don't need to go to a grave to feel certain emotions for my mother. It's the same way I feel about God. Like, it's nice to have a church, and I do go there, But if I miss a Sunday or 2 Sundays, I don't care. You know what I mean? I talk to God in my head throughout the day, every day. Just like I'm very, appreciative of my mom's legacy. And like no one's gonna tell me how I'm going to celebrate God. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't feel like you need to go to church. You could just pray to God and just believe, really. I just feel like there's too many, like, oh, you have to do this or you have to do this. That's just a tradition, really.
Yeah, well, here's the problem, because then the argument that a lot of people within Christianity make is like, you know, how do you know about God if you don't follow the teachings, quote unquote, by the Bible, by church, by sermon, by all these things? And they do have a point, right? So, like, the way I feel today is because I did go to church all those times when I was little. And even though I maybe didn't understand everything I was hearing, some of it got through to me. And now as an adult, I know enough to feel the proximity to my creator, or some might say that this is actually like a sin, like maybe it's my humanity that's coming in and saying that I don't need to be as close to God as possible. But I also think that I don't think you need to tie anything spiritual to the physical realm, and that includes going to a physical church, or going to a grave to pay respects. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd be interested to hear what people's. I'd be interested to hear what you think. So, like, do you think I'm inaccurate? Do you think that I'm onto something here?
No, I feel like you believe what you believe and you're gonna do what you want to do. I believe similar things. I don't believe you have to go to church. I just feel like you got to believe in God in your heart and know when you pray, or when you know it's in your heart and you see God and you believe in God and you have that faith, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You don't have to go to church, or you could read the Bible, but sometimes you may not agree 100% or stuff like that, because we're human. We don't know. Okay, the Bible's written.
Who wrote it?
Who wrote the Bible? Who wrote the other books, the other religions?
I used to have this Bible that was like I forget the name of the Bible, but it was like a certain Bible, and it was like the words the words written in red were like the words of Jesus Christ, like verbatim his words. And I thought to myself, like, who's to say? Like, who's to say? I remember I had a Greek Orthodox Bible, and my friends, because we used to go to Bible study, they'd have like a Catholic Bible or whatever. We had 3 or 4 different types of Bibles, and we would notice that like certain passages, certain things were written a different way. Like, just words were not the same, words weren't used. Now for I will say this, for the majority of it, it was written the same way. But certain passages would be written differently, and then because of that, you could get like a different lesson, or you could perceive certain phrases differently because of that. You know what I mean? And it just made me think to myself, like, yeah, at the end of the day, this is like a man-made thing. Like,
Yeah.
the Bible, all these other things, like, we weren't there for Jesus Christ when he was crucified for our sins, and I wasn't there for the resurrection. I believe these things happened.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
believe they happened, and I believe that this is not just like a historical truth, but a spiritual truth. But the fact of the matter is, anything that's written in literature over the course of literally thousands of years, maybe it's not quote unquote written in stone.
For sure, I agree with that. You never know.
And a lot of people are going to say that it's blasphemous. I get that. Like, people are very touchy-feely about these topics. But here's where I stand. If your moral compass derives from Christianity, I can't speak about Islam and Judaism because I'm not. So I'm speaking about Christianity because that's what I am. I'm a Christian. If your moral compass comes from Christianity, from the overall teachings of Christianity, which inadvertently comes from the Bible, but not necessarily like, verbatim, word for word, just at least at the higher level, I think your life is just better off. Does that make sense? I think you're better off being somewhat religious than not religious at all.
Yeah, for sure. Somewhat religious is, I would say, better, because you're having God guide you. But everybody, in my opinion, everybody thinks differently about God. So you have all these, even as a Christian, you might be different than so and so, or
I think everyone will inadvertently return to God even before their death. Like, I've seen people like on death's door. What's the one thing they all universally do? They start praying. I think the only difference is like I think there's two ways to look at religion. There's like the way of like salvation post life. That's one aspect. But then there's also like the moral compass that you can use religion for in life. I know you'll resonate with this. Like, there are certain things I don't do specifically because of my religion. And by not doing them, they make me a better person. And being a better person makes me feel good. Like, I have a wife, right? And the vows that I took were under God, and I take them very seriously. They make me feel good by fulfilling them. Or whenever I see people with less, or they're in certain situations where they're compromised or whatever, it makes me feel good to help, to assist in some way. The piety, whatever it is you want to call it, but these morals, these foundations were instilled in me through Christ, through the church, through my upbringing. And you could even say through my parents, but what were my parents? My parents were Christians. So it's like a lot of our moral compass that makes me get those warm fuzzies from helping someone. These were taught to me. I wasn't born with them. Do you think that, let me ask two questions. The first one a little bit lighter. When you're around other people that, I want to be careful how I ask this question. I want to be really careful how I ask this question because I don't want to, my goal is not to like offend anybody. I find that when I'm around people that are religious the same as me, and what I mean by religious the same as me, I don't mean Christians. I mean like with the fervency of their religion, I have a better time. But if I'm around people that have no religion, their moral compass is lacking, or people that are dogmatic about their religion, where their religion is everything, I tend to separate from those people. I don't have as much in common. I don't enjoy it being in their presence as much on both sides of that spectrum. So like I feel like I've always been in the middle. And it's not that as if I'm saying, being agnostic is bad or being fully committed to your religion is bad. I'm just saying, for me, this is the observation I've made. I enjoy being around people that practice in a similar fashion to me, but I could be wrong. Your experience with religion, how has it been up until now?
My experience with religion is good. I went to a Lutheran school. From age like 3 to 11. So I was always going to Lutheran school, learning that religious belief and then going to like the Greek Orthodox Church as well.
Was that like a difference, being a Lutheran versus an Orthodox Christian?
I would say they have their similarities, but they're also different because of the religious beliefs. I would say being around people that are Christians, you just want to be around people that are morally compassed by their religion. Now, being around people that are too religious, it's too, like, you're doing it too much.
Well, I always say, gotta sin a little bit or else Jesus died for nothing.
Yeah,
people either laugh at that or don't, but I'm being kind of serious. It's like, I know I'm a flawed creature. I'm not trying to be perfect.
No human is perfect.
But you get the people that
are kind.
No, you'll get the people that use religion as a sword, and they feel like they can dictate and like overwhelm you. Like, well, why would you do that? And all these other things. Like, maybe I make mistakes. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I try to minimize the mistakes. I will minimize the life-altering mistakes or the things where I know are the absolute. For instance, I've never murdered anyone. I hope till the day I die that I never have to. Why have I not murdered anybody outside of like the laws of our land and anything like that? Because I should cherish life. If all life is given from God, by God, then it is not mine to take, right? So it's like, I don't have to be like a religious zealot to understand this. Same though, like you'll start to, I want to be careful how I say this. Religion is a touchy topic. You'll get people that think like certain things are okay in the name of God. And I just think that that's such a slippery slope. It's like, who are you to dictate what is in the name of God? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel the same way. You shouldn't say, oh, because this book of whatever religion says it's okay, that it's okay. If you feel it's morally wrong, you shouldn't do so.
Yeah, it's that little voice inside that does know better than you.
Yes.
And if you feel that when you're doing certain acts, you got to listen to that thing, man.
Yeah, it'll guide you right, keep you on
Yes.
the right. I feel like that's God sometimes. Too.
I agree. The Holy Ghost incarnate, living within all of us. I don't know, religions. As I get older, I believe more and more, like I was saying, when my daughter was born, I stopped thinking about just my salvation or my relationship with God. And I started thinking about like, okay, well, I believe this. So like my daughter needs to be baptized. It's not even about me. It's about, I want her to be saved. So we did that. And I'll never forget like how I felt in that, because it was the first time in my life where my faith did not affect me, right? It was like an extension of faith for those that I loved. And then it was like an overwhelming gratitude, because I was like, my daughter, like the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, is protected now by God. And it made me feel incredibly good, just good. When we left the church, I felt lighter. I'm like, oh man, thank you. Like, because you never know, man, things could happen. Tomorrow I can get hit by a truck and then she's on her own, or God forbid anything happened to her. And at the very least, we're here temporarily anyway. Like, no one's going to live forever. So when that day does inevitably come, just want to make sure that we have the grace of God at our back. So if there's anything anybody gets from this, you don't do it on your own. I'm never going to tell anybody what religion to practice. I know that like some Christians say that it's like a duty to bring other people to Christianity. I think that we're all brought before the feet of God, no matter what we do in this life. Whether or not it's a good meeting or a bad meeting is a direct reflection of how we live this life. But I don't know. There's some things about Christianity I agree with and some things I don't. And that's the great conundrum, right? It's like, you ever heard it's like a parable, or not even a parable, but it's like an inquiry into Christianity where they're like, well, if God loves us all, but you have to accept God, what happens about the guy on the island who doesn't know about God? Like, is he gonna, when he dies, does he get saved and all this other stuff? And that's a great question to ask. And you'll get different answers from different people. But I think there's no way you would punish someone for ignorance.
No, you can't punish someone for ignorance if you don't know or haven't been around it. You can't say, oh, this person doesn't believe in God, but look at their surroundings.
It's not even that they don't believe in God. They don't even know
who God is.
They don't even know. Like, how can you...
You can't punish that.
How do you punish... Yeah.
I disagree with that when people say, oh, you have to. I'm like, if this person was never around it and you're born around atheism or something like that, you're more likely to go that way.
Yeah.
Because that's what you grew up as a little kid to adult seeing.
And I know a lot of Christians are going to like listen to this and get like ream themselves, or like, my thing is this, like, I can understand the perspective of it comes from a right place, right? So it's like, you love God, you believe in God, and what you're wanting to do is spread that to other people so that they feel the way you do. Like, it's coming from a good place, but you don't get to choose how people come to that conclusion. Does that make sense? Like, they might not, like we were saying earlier, they might believe what you believe, maybe not how you believe it or as strongly as you do, and they might practice it a little differently. You can't dictate to them what is acceptable and what is not.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can't do that.
Their relationship with God is theirs.
Yep.
Or their
non-relationship
is theirs. Exactly. I don't know. It's something I ponder especially as I get older.
Yeah, religion. It's a touchy subject. Everybody believes, and that's the unique part about it. We may believe the same religion, but we have different aspects.
Well, actually, that's only Christianity. Because like, if you go to like, actually, to my knowledge, Islam has kind of like a similar,
like, strict.
They don't have denominations like Christianity does. Like, Judaism is pretty much like, that's
set
it.
in stone.
Yeah. And Islam is kind of like, they have like their version of like New Testament and Old Testament, right? Where you're like, you have like your Old Testament Muslims and like your New Testament Muslims. So like, you might get like some differentiation in like how, I know Muslims that, go to mosque, but they'll drink alcohol. Well, if you actually look at Islam, like, you can't do that. You know what I mean?
That's they're doing it because they want to do it.
what I'm trying to say is like, and that could also be correlated to like Christians who, you know, they won't necessarily practice what they preach. But Christianity is interesting in the fact that we have like what 40 or 50 different denominations: Catholic, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Orthodox, like you name it. There's like 20 or 30 of them, right? And it's interesting because it's kind of like we've taken Christianity and we've kind of like divided up into little slices, but we're all like celebrating the same entity.
Yeah.
It's just it proves that humanity is a flawed creature because we can't even agree on how to properly worship God, the same God. We all believe in Jesus Christ, but there's a few differences here and there. Like ask a Catholic and ask a Lutheran, or ask an Orthodox Christian and a Catholic. What you do with Lent and all this other stuff. It's just interesting to see the differences, and then you could also get into like whole like, you know, how the Catholic Church was trying to get like the pagans into it and all that, the historical events of religion. But it goes back to my statement of, if you want to be saved by God, you want to spread that as much as you can, and if you have to kind of mold it a little bit in order to get the message across, I think that's what that is. That's how you get the denominations. I think these people have already arrived to the conclusion that we have, that you might be able to celebrate the same entity, but in a different way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Having different ways is not wrong. You could learn from it. Be like, okay, I'm going to take this, take that, and make you better just because, say, I don't believe the same as you or somebody else, or even different religions. You're still believing one entity, though. That's the one thing all the religions have. There's
monotheism. There's a bunch of religions that don't do that.
But the main
the triarchy,
the
main
they have
three.
one.
Yeah.
It's same way, different.
Also, they were all in the same area in terms of like geographically, and in the grand scheme of like human history, relatively around the same time. And technically, like Judaism is the oldest, obviously, of the major three, and that Christians arrived from Jews. Jesus was a Jew. Anyway, that's what I think about that. Before we put a cap on this, man, I know that you got the pro fight coming up. I know that you got a lot of love for Jamie. I know you got a lot of things that you want to say about this camp. The floor is yours now. Is there something that you want to get off your chest, or thanks you want to give, or insight you want to bestow upon us?
Let me see. I would say about this camp, it's going good a lot longer than most camps I've had, because I thought the fight was going to be in February. It gives me more time to prepare, more sparring, all of that. I like to shout out to Jamie for helping me get ready for this fight. Everybody I've been sparring with, training with, and just God self for giving me opportunity for my first pro fight to be live on television and stuff like that, where most people are fighting locally. But I feel like, as far as like pros, I feel like once you go pro, it's like, oh, I got to win, I got to do this. It's still, you just want to see where you're at, really. You're getting paid. Like, when someone said, oh, you're fighting a tough fighter, Chris, I'm like, if I was amateur, I would have been fighting someone like him. Mm-hmm. But now I'm getting paid to do it. Now it's a profession. I feel like a lot of fighters don't necessarily test themselves like they did, especially in boxing as in the past. Like, after, like, Floyd came around undefeated, now it's all about, oh, I got to keep my zero. But you look at their record, they fought nothing but like Cans or someone. Like, you want, all the good fighters had losses outside of Floyd, of course, but outside of that, I would say just always keep moving forward. And if you believe in God, believe in God in a way that benefits you. Don't go off of tradition sense of like, I got to do it because of this way. To be your own person involved with God and stuff. And just overall, I would say be a good person and just keep moving forward. If you have a goal you want to achieve, try it. Take a chance on yourself. Get in the gym. Like, if you're negative or like depressed or something, do something to sidetrack yourself, because you see a lot of that stuff. I know you've seen it on Facebook and social media. Like, just do something about it. Don't like post about all that negative. Do something.
I've had to step away from social media because of it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just people just complaining and bitching, and
you just got to change it, really. And I would say, like, just find yourself, really. And I'll just tell people, don't worry about what others think about what you're doing. Just go ahead and do what you want to do.
It's difficult for a lot of people.
It is difficult. I had to learn that. I think I was like 2018, early, like, just stop caring about what people portray yourself. Because usually when someone's saying something about you, they're either, like, jealous of you or, like, hating, and it's just...
Or they're just upset with themselves.
Upset with
they're
not
saying
doing what you're doing.
ill, irrespective of you. They're just unhappy with themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
We always say that it's easier to break someone else down than it is to bring yourself up.
Oh yeah, for sure. You want to bring yourself. I would say you would want to bring yourself up, but don't bring yourself up by making someone else feel bad. Some people, I feel, get a kick out of
I think that's the only way they know how.
Yeah, for
Does
sure.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe someone in their life, like a family member or a friend. I'm doing friends in quotation, right?
Yeah, that's not real.
That's not a real friend, exactly. But maybe someone around their orbit showed them that that's how to do it. That's just a shitty thing to prolong.
It is, for sure. You just want to surround yourself with, like, good people, like, that know, okay, I'm going to help you out because it's generosity, not...
It's a scarcity mindset versus an abundance. The people that are good irrespective of it, if it comes back to them, because they don't care. They're abundant within themselves.
Yeah. The
people that are scarcity mindseted, they think that there's only so much food to go around. And there's only so many chairs at the table. As I've gotten older, my circle has gotten so small. And I'll tell you this. When I was in high school, I'm sure everybody says this too, is like, I wanted the most friends, like as many people to like me as possible. And then now I think I talk to like friends, 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. Like, a lot of people know who I am through fighting, but I don't only associate like 4, 5, 6 people outside of people I see in the gym weekly.
Yeah,
outside is just.
And I want to be careful how I say this because, like, I'm not trying to. There's a lot of people that I know as well. They're like, "What do you mean? You're only 3 or 4 friends?" I think a friend is someone that, like, who's the people that if shit hits the fan, who could you call, and aren't just going to pick up the phone, but get in their car and drive. I have like 3 or 4 people.
Oh yeah, same way. I feel the same exact way. A friend is not just because I know somebody or we hang out. It's
friendly. We're friendly with each other.
But if we're friends, like, okay, you have my back, I have your back, or if I need, say, help with something, you're gonna help me out, or vice versa. It's more like when people say, I view most people when they're hanging around partying, or like, I just use partying because my age and stuff. Like, you're just hanging out with a bunch of people. That's an associate. You're saying they're friends, but really you're someone you're just associating, having a fun time.
You're just in each other's orbit.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more question, actually, before we call it quits. There's like this male loneliness epidemic, okay? And I have a thought on it. Let me ask you this first. Do you see that in your circles? Like, do you see men who... I mean, if there's no other way to say it other than lonely, do you see lonely men around you?
I've seen some lonely, but I don't think it's an epidemic. I just feel like people got to get out and about more and meet people more instead of just being on your phone.
Thank you. I think it's like one of these things where it's like self-derived. It's like, well, do you go out? No. Do you do anything? Do you go to the gym? Do you go out into the world? And if the answer to that question is no, well, yeah, no fucking wonder you're lonely, dude. Like, if I didn't know anybody, if I didn't have any friends because I don't do anything, I'd be lonely too. I think it's an epidemic of laziness.
Oh yeah, for sure, laziness and not just wanting to meet people. And then when you do meet people, it's like, oh, this is not the right person. But how do you know?
How do you know until you try?
Yeah, you got to try, take a risk and stuff like that.
We say the same thing about gyms. Maybe you go to one gym and you don't like the vibe. It doesn't mean that martial arts isn't for you. Maybe it's just that energy. Go to a different gym.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of different gyms and how they act. You just got to find the right one for you.
Yeah.
In martial arts, find the right coaches, right group of people. Everybody's different.
I'm just not the right person to talk to about, like, I've realized this about myself. I'm the kind of person that if you want to solve a problem, I'm all ears. I'll listen to you talk for like an hour if we're going to talk about like how we're going to overcome this issue. But I find that there's like a lot of lazy people who don't want to solve the problem. They just want to bitch. And they think that that's like therapeutic. And I'm like, no, that's just negative. If I call you every day and I'm complaining about the same things over and over again, how long until you stop picking up the phone? You're like, dude, whatever. I don't want to hear it today.
Yeah, for sure.
I got my own problems. I got my own issues.
Yeah. But I would say with that, you just tell the person you got to either do something or stop being in that situation. Really, if you're gonna keep doing the same thing, it's like getting hit with the same punch. You're not moving out the way, or you're not moving your head blocking. You're getting hit over and over again, and you're like, oh, this punch hurts or this kick hurts. It's like you got to work on the defense.
Hey man, have you thought about not getting hit?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Chris, I look forward to watching you fight, man. I think to have your first pro debut, being on DAZN, that's awesome. That's a hell of an opportunity for you. I genuinely hope for the best, your success, not just in fighting, but in all aspects of life. I know that you're a young man who's starting to come into his own. So, God bless, brother. Before we put a cap to this, anything else you want to say?
I'll say just if you're someone that watches it, just keep going forward with like what your dreams are, what you want to do in life, or like don't let people be too negative or don't follow like social trends, that sort of stuff, because people just, oh, they're doing this, I got to do this. No, I would say just do your own thing, be happy about it, and just live life. If you believe in God, believe in God. Praise God and ask God to guide you and work out. Don't be so negative like on social media. If anybody's seeing this, like, because that's not going to solve nothing. And some people have told me that's what it's for. I'm like, no, it's not.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, I'm like,
I don't know who told you that, but I hope they're. Oh God, that's a negative outlook. I don't know what to say to that.
I feel
They said that social media is for negativity.
Yes, where they post their problems. Yes.
Sounds like they need a therapist.
Yeah,
That's
so.
Some people genuinely need therapy. God bless you if you do. I don't think that you should go to social media for free therapy.
Oh, no. I just say be positive.
And keep in mind that stuff's forever.
Yeah, that stuff is forever. It's like a footprint, or I can't remember what the teacher said.
There's a
like it's always gonna be associated.
There's an individual who like is going through it right now, and I do feel for men who are going through certain relationship stuff or whatever. But like he is posting everything on Facebook, a grown ass man, and I just think to myself like, dude, I get what he's wanting from this. He wants the outlet. You need like a professional to do that, or like a really close friend or someone, because what you're wanting out of this is not what you're gonna get, and all you're doing is like putting out all your dirty laundry on social media for everybody. You know what I do miss? I miss the previous generations. They would shut the fuck up. They would, like, people didn't know about the problems because they would keep it within the family, and some people would say that that's unhealthy. I don't know. I think the society of like, oh, woe is me about all one of my issues, like I think that's unhealthy. I think some people need to like toughen up, stand a little taller. It's okay. You're gonna get hit.
Yeah, you're gonna,
like you say, keep moving forward.
Yeah, you got to keep moving forward. If you're getting hit, I wouldn't say like, because when I was in therapy for anxiety and depression, they even said.
But you went to therapy.
Yes.
You weren't on social media going, I'm sad. Like
no. I was 15.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not telling anybody not to get therapy. If you need therapy, by all means, get therapy.
Yeah, I would say it was. It was a good decision. And what the therapist said, they actually said, don't post on social media. They'll tell all teenagers don't take their problems to social media. Because
you're gonna get shitty advice. You're gonna get little Timmy like,
yeah,
KSF.
For sure. Like they would say, like work out, like do something productive instead of like just sitting and dwelling. Like I would say that's the best advice I received it there.
I think that's absolutely the best advice to give. I think whenever I see like men that are, I don't know if you want to say lonely or whatever, it's usually a purpose problem. They don't have a purpose. And I think that the best men, their purpose is greater than themselves. And that's why I think that's why I think religion is good, because it's like, no matter what, there's like a higher entity than me. No matter how much money I make, no matter if I'm like the king of the world. Okay, well, who's the king of the world compared to God, right? But then it's like more than that. It's about, that's why I think men are best when they have families and they have children and all these other things, because now they have something more than themselves. They have something that's going to outlive them. So it's like, what world am I going to leave behind? I think that men are best when they have purpose, and I believe that that purpose is best when it's past themselves. And that if you have a bunch of men that have the means to carry out a purpose greater than themselves, you're going to have a very vibrant society. But if you have a bunch of fucking young, gooner, lonely guys because society right now is going to shit, I mean, then,
I just
Don't
feel
be surprised when everyone's on social media complaining about all their problems.
I feel like they just need to stop like worrying about what's going on outside and fix
What's inside
themselves, and like sidetrack themselves, find their passion, find their goals instead of just flowing with society.
And that's why we should start our OnlyFans. Chris, I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you too.
It's good having you back on. Thank you so much.
Yeah.